Good afternoon guys, F4H Rosso here with another video. Today's video we're going to be looking at Bathurst's Mount Panorama circuit in the Circuit Experience game mode. I have done a Circuit Experience video before on the Alsace Village circuit, and today we're going to be focusing on Bathurst, how to tackle the circuit, how to tame the mountain, and how to get ourselves a gold medal in the Circuit Experience mode. Today's car is the McLaren 650S GT3, quite a fun car to drive. The setup today, we're going to be using traction control on 2 and cone markers. It makes breaking down the lap afterwards a little bit easier. Today's time is a 2:05.790, so we've smashed the gold medal time, or gold medal target basically, by over 7 seconds. So hopefully this will help you guys get that gold too and maximise your pace around the mountain. So before we break the lap down, let's have a look at how we did it. Okay, so now that we've seen the lap on board, we're going to break it down, try and make it more manageable chunks, I guess, and help you guys get that gold medal. So the first corner, Hell Corner, we're going to be accelerating down there in 4th gear. Avoid, if possible, the grass on the right-hand side. It's literally right next to the track, and it's very tempting to kind of open up the track as much as possible for the best run out of Hell Corner. But you just have to be wary that, you know, if you start clipping that grass on the right hand side, it does try and drag you out. The reason that I said in the setup at the very start that we are using the cones, the cone markers, is because they'll feature quite heavily in this breakdown. So if you've not got them on, I definitely encourage you to turn them on. They're a great resource around the track for braking and turning points. And we'll be using them quite a lot in this breakdown. So definitely worth popping those on if you haven't already. So as I say, we're accelerating down into Hell Corner. We're going to hit 4th gear, and we're going to be braking around these 2 cones on the right hand side just here. You can see my brake lights are on already. A theme of Bathurst, Mount Panorama circuit, is to avoid the inside curbs. They're very steep, very rough. They affect your run out of corners, and also can pitch the car into a spin in some cases. So we'll be avoiding those pretty much throughout the circuit. But as I say, Hell Corner, brake at these 2 markers on the right hand side. Let the car run in deep and get on the power as early as possible. So we're going to run it through and see how we did it. So on the power at that second cone, nice and early. Let the car run out onto the runoff on the outside and down the mountain straight. First sector board is just under this bridge here. If you're somewhere in the 15-second mark, then we are cooking on gas. We're going to pause it again. Going into this second corner here, Griffin's Bend. Again, we're looking for those 2 cones on the left-hand side. Just after the 2 cones, we're going to be braking, and it is just after, literally a millisecond after, will give you the perfect line through Griffin's Bend. As soon as you are off the brakes through here, because of the way the corner is cambered, you can get straight back on the power essentially. There's a nice curb on the outside as well that basically you can run the car into that will set it straight. So yeah, lots of confidence through here. As soon as you're off the brakes, just straight back on that throttle to get the best run up the hill to the cutting. As I say, straight back on the throttle there, look. Let the car run out wide and get back across to the right hand side for the best line to set yourself up for the cutting. I'm going to pause it here. The cutting, very difficult to get right on this game. Through the first half of the corner, we're going to take a little bleed on the throttle just to get the nose in and settle the car down. You can take it flat, but if you do, you're more than likely going to run out wide over the white line on the right hand side, and if you do that, the car will pitch into one of those horrible, slow, unrecoverable spins. So it's not really worth the risk. I mean, the amount of time that you gain from taking it flat is minuscule. So we're going to take a little bleed on the throttle, a blip on the throttle to get the car straight after the first half of the cutting, and then down 2 gears into second through the second half. Once we've got the car in, the nose in, we're going to stay really close to the wall on the left-hand side. Accelerate, pick your mark, accelerate out of the corner and bring it close to the wall on the right-hand side. So we'll see how it's done. A little bleed on the throttle, back on ever so slightly, down the 2 gears, nice and tight to that inside wall and let it run out wide on the right-hand side. Pause it again just here. Want to be as close as possible to this left-hand wall. This corner just here, which I don't think has a name. If it does, I don't know it. You can take flat, but you have to get the line right. You need to be out as far as you can possibly to this left-hand side wall, almost brushing it. Chuck the car in, trust the car to grip, and it will just about make it through here flat, which we can see now. So it's very tight, but it sets you up really nicely for this double left-hander. Get across the crest just there on the left-hand side. Let the car run out to the right naturally. If you do that correctly, you want in a little lift as basically you hit the white line, which will pitch you in perfectly for this first of the 2 left-handers. Straight back on the throttle and run the car wide. Lift at the curb and get the car in for the second half. Get the car back over to the left for Skyline. Difficult one to get right this. Again, a little bleed of the throttle will get the nose into the wall on the right hand side. As soon as we're over that, we're going to be braking hard down into second gear into the S's. As I say, slight bleed of the throttle. Use the grass liberally on that left hand side to get the car in for the first half of the S's and through the dipper. Be very careful through the dipper on the throttle. You can spin. It's very tempting. There's a little bit of grass just there. We'll see if we can see it actually. It's put us back quite far, so we'll let this run on while we're talking. So a little bit of a lift through there. A lift through Skyline. Down through the S's. Down to second gear. So as I say, it's very tempting here. You can just see it on the left-hand side if we freeze where the cone is. Very tempting here to use that grass. But if you do, the car will just be completely unsettled and it will go into, again, one of those horrible slow spins into the inside wall. So it's not worth the risk. Just clip it ever so slightly, get on the throttle and down through this section. Into this right-hander just here, which again I don't think has a name. An ever so slight lift because Forest Elbow after this comes upon you so quickly. You can take, again, this corner flat. But if you do, you run on into Forest Elbow horribly, take a really horrible wide line, and it really compromises your run down the Conrod straight. So a little bit of a lift through this first bit, as you'll see when we run this video on. and then as soon as you're straight, you want to be straight onto the brakes down into second gear for forest elbow. Nice and tight, and as soon as you're past the first half of the elbow, straight onto the power for the best run down the conrod straight. Bit of time to relax now before we tackle the chase. The chase was a difficult one to figure out for me because it's, on the face of it, nice and simple. But what I found was, if we approach the chase just here, we're a little bit wide. But to be honest, you don't necessarily need to be right on the apex for this. You can take a nice wide kind of gentle line. I guess the car's got that much grip through here that you can take a nice gentle line, scrub off as little speed as possible, and set yourself up nicely for the the second part of the chase itself. Uphill braking zones, you can brake nice and late here. Again, look for the 2 cones on the right hand side, and we're going to be braking just before them. You can brake just after, it depends on the line that you want to take, but I found that braking just before the 2 cones on the left hand side sets the car up really nicely for a nice run down into Murray's corner to finish the lap. So we'll let this run on and see how we did it. Hard on the brakes and down to 3rd gear. A little bit of a touch on the inside curb, and let it run out wide naturally on the exit. Again, those cones are going to come to our rescue for the last corner. This is probably the only real mistake I made on the lap. We got a bit greedy on the power coming out of Murray's, and as you'll see, we take a little bit of a nick on the grass, which I think probably cost us a 10th to our optimal lap time. Brake just before these 2 cones on the right hand side. Try and avoid the inside curb. We clip it on this lap. But the ideal line really is to have your inside front wheel just inside the white line, but not so it's riding the curb itself. It's quite a fine balancing act. As soon as you spy the exit, you want to be hard on the power, down into 2nd gear. Hard on the power, just not so hard as to go a little bit wide like I did. And then ride over the line in 3rd gear. So guys, that is how you tackle the Mount Panorama Bathurst circuit and the Circuit Experience Challenge. Let me know how you get on. If this video did help, let me know, and hopefully we'll have a few more of these videos coming in the near future. I'm looking to do a Circuit Experience breakdown of the Nordschleife. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it, because obviously me sitting here talking for, it's already been a 10-minute breakdown of Bathurst for a 6 or 8 minute lap, depending on if we do the N24 layout. It's going to be a pretty whopping video. So I would like to definitely do a Nordschleife Circuit Experience video. It's just figuring out the format and things like that. As always, guys, I'm going to pop a little sub button on the left hand side at the end of the video. If you're feeling generous, I'd love a subscription. We're growing ever so slightly, and I'm loving the growth and loving the comments and the likes. It's extremely nice to know that the content is being appreciated and liked. And I'm also going to pop a link to the Alsace Village Circuit Experience video on the right hand side. Give that a click if you want to see how that circuit is tackled. And thanks ever so much for joining me, guys. See you soon.